what's going on? It's your boy Brian Ellison here, the male student coordinator for Compass North Metro students. Yo, if you were at Compass last night, you already know. It got a little crazy, okay? Let's just say the worship was fire. No, literally, worship was fire. Like, we set the fire alarm with the haze. Of course, it would be the student ministry that would do something like that and end up setting off the fire alarm. And so we had to evacuate the students. But my main reason for making this video is I know that we have students at home that are social distancing. They're not ready to come back in person yet, but we still want to minister to you guys. Okay, we still hear you, we still see you, and you know, every Monday we repost the message from that Sunday at Compass. But obviously, because we had to be pushed outside, didn't happen. So I'm making this video so that you can still feel a part, so that you don't feel left out, so that you still know what's going on. And there's a lot to the story. I mean, so many cool things happen where, like, I guess I can start it off by just the hilarity of it all. Imagine, like, I'm coming on stage, I'm getting ready to teach. And I'm getting ready to teach on evangelism, okay? I'm teaching about sharing your faith and not keeping quiet, this message of the gospel, okay? Big, heavy stuff that obviously Satan doesn't want us to talk about, okay? Because why would he want the gospel spread? That's the last thing that he would want. So imagine your boy going up on stage. I'm getting ready to grab the mic from Courtney Smith. She just did an incredible job hosting. I grabbed the mic from her and I'm like, yo, let's shout out the band because they just killed it. Like, it was fire, literally. And so I grabbed the mic and I'm like, yo, let's give it up for the band one more time. And the next thing you know, I mean, like clockwork, like literally when I finished my last word, all you heard was fire alarm. I'm like frozen in time. I see Courtney and I see Derek booking it for the exit, and I'm like, all right, yo, let's follow them. Let's get out safely. And that's what we did. We got out safely. But even as I was walking down the steps, I was like, devil, there is no way in the world that this message on evangelism is not getting preached today. There's no way. Like, there is no way that you, Satan, are going to come into this midst and you are going to disrupt this message and you're going to stop this amazing moment from happening. And the God that we serve did not allow that to happen, because what ended up happening was we had service outside on the lawn, stripped down, no gimmicks, no slides, no big illustrations, myself, the students, a Bible, the Holy Spirit. And that's all we need, for real, for real. When I think about Jesus and I think about the disciples, bro, they didn't have a light show. They didn't have all this, that, and the third. They had themselves and they had the crowd, and they spoke to the crowd. And so it was cool to step into that last night. But if you weren't there, you didn't get to see it. So what I've decided is to kind of give you that message and kind of talk you through the things that we talked about last night, because I think it would be lost on us to not share that, especially because this is such an incredible time, you know, talking about this idea of evangelism. And I want y'all to hear it. So I'm going to do my best. You know, I know attention spans and all that kind of stuff, but if you would just keep watching just to learn a little bit and to kind of see where we went last night, I think that you would love it. And I just want you to just grasp the fact that what the enemy meant for evil, God turned to good. Okay, yes, the haze and the fire alarm turned off, but did it stop us? No, it didn't stop us, because we still were out there and we still, like, come on now, that word was taught, the Lord still spoke, and then we had some worship songs afterwards. We had somebody come out with the cajon. We had a couple of guys coming out with acoustic guitars, and we still sang our hearts out. We still sang our guts out. We still went after, because guess what? The devil has no reign and rule. God has all the reign and rule. He is in control. Everything that he touches turns to good. What the enemy meant for evil, God turned for good last night at Compass. And so let me share a little bit of that message with you. We talked about evangelism. And if you are not a Christian, or even if you are a Christian and maybe you just don't understand evangelism and what it means, evangelism is the public spreading of the gospel of Jesus Christ through either preaching or personal witness. Okay. A lot of people get hung up on this idea of the public preaching and everything. And a lot of people think, I can't evangelize. I can't be an evangelist because like I'm too young, or like I'm not smart enough. I don't know enough. But this is all you really need to know, for real, for real. This is all you need to know. Okay. Matthew 28, book of the Bible. It's the last chapter in this book. And in this book, it gives an account of Jesus's life. And obviously at this point, Jesus has died and resurrected and come back. And Jesus could have said many things. He could have left in a cloud and just been like, y'all figure out life, whatever y'all want to do, y'all just go and do it. But he didn't. His personal disciples, so his students, he left them with a charge. And I believe that charge is for us today. And that charge was to go and make disciples. Okay. And the disciple is a student. Okay. And as we are followers of Jesus, if that's what you are, I'm talking to the followers of Jesus here. If that's what you claim, then you are a student. Okay, you are a student of the Bible. You're a student of the Word. You're a student of Jesus's teachings, and you can't just hold on to that. You need to go out and you need to share that. Okay, so I think about like Instagram. Okay. So Instagram, like we're constantly sharing content, constantly sharing videos. Like I know even myself, there's a couple people right now that probably have a DM from me from some funny video that I showed them. But how often are we clicking share when it comes to our faith? It's hard. It's difficult. And there's a lot of fear in it. There's a lot of fear, especially when it comes to, can we actually do it? Can we do it by ourselves? But guess what? We don't have to do it by ourselves. I used this analogy last night. Okay, if you're a basketball fan like me, one of my favorite plays is this play called the alley-oop. Okay, so the point guard or whoever's passing the ball is running down the court. They lob it up. They toss the ball up, and then like you'll have like a LeBron James or a Ja Morant. They'll grab the ball and then stuff it. Okay, hit that slam dunk. Guess what? When it comes to evangelism, all you gotta do is be the setup, man. Okay, all you gotta do is lob that pass, and then God's gonna come through and yam it home like LeBron James, but even better because he's God. That's all you have to do, okay? You are not responsible for anyone's salvation. You're just responsible for getting that word out, because God, through his Holy Spirit, is the one that actually changes, compels, and moves hearts. So please let that be comfort for you, knowing that you don't have to do it alone, knowing that God is coming through, and all you got to do is set up that alley-oop, okay? All right, and if you don't like basketball and you're like, Brian, what are you talking about? Go on YouTube. Oh, well, you're already on YouTube. But go and click in the search bar what an alley-oop is, and you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. But nevertheless, you set it up. You plant the seed. You throw that lob up, and then God, pow, slam dunks it. And it's the final say so on whether someone actually becomes a follower of Jesus, because the Holy Spirit is who moves those hearts. So you're not in it by yourself. But you might still be like, Brian, why is evangelism important? Why do we need to know? Well, I'm going to give you the why, okay? I'm going to give you the why. Here's the why, okay? Say you're a scientist, okay? Say you've come up with this magical cure, this end-all be-all to like a disease. I don't know. Say we're in like some national pandemic where like everybody's got masks on and everybody's trying to be protected from this thing called coronavirus. I don't know. And say like you have the cure. You have the end-all be-all. Are you going to hold that? Are you going to keep that to yourself? You're going to tell people about it. You already know. You're going to tell people about it. You're going to shout it from the rooftops. Yo, I got the cure. Come on, let's go. Like, yo, like we all finna be good now. There's a sickness that each and every one of us are born with. It's called sin. And sin entered the world when a young lady by the name of Eve was like, yo, that fruit over there, God told me not to eat that fruit, but it looks good. And so she took part of that fruit. And then she gave it to her husband, Adam, and he was like, yeah, that looks good. Let me go ahead and eat some of that too. And he ate some of that fruit too. And at that very moment, sin and death entered the world. And there's nothing that could rectify that situation other than God himself, the God of the universe, deciding, you know what, I'm going to don flesh. I'm going to become human. Okay, first of all, to show them that, hey, I understand what you're going through because, like, I've been a human too, but to also redeem us, sacrifice himself, die on a cross from us, a gruesome death that we all deserved, but he decided to take. And that is the good news that we have to share. Come on now. Good news is meant to be shared. That's something we talked about last night. We kept saying that over and over again. We said good news is meant to be shared. Good news is meant to be shared. At home, wherever you're watching this from right now, I need you to say that with me right now. I know I can't hear you and I know I can't see you, but I know that you can feel it. Say good news is meant to be shared. But how do we do that? How do we share that good news? Okay, I gave you the why. Now here's the how. Tell your story. Nobody can argue with you about what your story is, okay? Tell your story. Number 2, take time and be intentional about creating relationships with people who aren't Jesus followers. Okay, everybody you hang out with can't all be Christians. You got to get out of that Christian bubble. You got to talk to some people. You got to create that relational equity with people that don't know Jesus. And then lastly, you need to pray and you need to ask God to create those situations and those conversations to occur. I had a situation where I was working at a summer camp and a young lady came up to me at camp and she was like, Brian, I think I'm going to hell. And I was like, hold up, pause. Let's talk about that. Let's unpack that a little bit. Why do you think you're going to hell? And she began to tell me her story. And she began to tell me how she was involved in all of this sin. And I was like, okay, do you think God doesn't love you? And like, she really felt like God didn't love her and that there was no way that God would ever be able to accept her the way that she was. And I began to tell her about the grace that Jesus offers. And I told her about the whole gospel. And at the end of the conversation, she said, you know what, Brian? I want to be a follower of Jesus. But the only way that happened was because of that relational equity. It was because of that friendship that we had. She felt comfortable. So I'm telling y'all, share your story. Make friends that aren't Christians and pray and ask God to open up those doors. Good news is meant to be shared. Good news is meant to be shared. Good news is meant to be shared. So why don't you go ahead and click that share button. Till next time.